right, hello, everyone. I'd like to open this meeting, Planning Commission for July 3rd, this Thursday at 6 p.m. First order of business will be the administrative minutes. Are there any changes or adjustments?
Madam Chair, I noticed that, I'm assuming Mr. Minor, and this is just a search of place, M-I-N-E-R, not M-I-N-O-R. There's two places.
M-I-N-E-R.
Correct. So there's two places, at least I saw 4 and 5, where it says M-I-N-O-R. I mean, it's just a search of place. So. All right. First paragraph, 7th one down, or 6th. And then page 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, number 5. Yeah, there could have been another one that I missed, but I just.
And I had on page 2, no, it's not really a paragraph. The second long paragraph, all the way down near the bottom where it's talking about 1 or 2 non-metered spaces will be lost to development depending upon their new design, which the Planning Commission can approve. I think that should say cannot be.
The non-metered you can approve.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah. The metered spaces require a town board.
okay.
Any others? All right. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Kevin, would you please present the old business that we're going to review?
The only thing on your agenda?
Yes.
All right.
Woo-hoo.
I'm going to skip over a lot of this. The application was reviewed by the Planning Commission on May 1st and June 5th. The concerns are enumerated in a letter on dated May 2nd and also dated June 6th. The request is for approval of 3,300 square feet, 1-story commercial building constructed on a 15,000 square foot lot. And it also includes request for special development for outdoor dining and a waiver for stacked parking. The property requires 22 parking spaces. The developer is proposing 23 spaces, access from Alice Ann Street. As part of that, 16 of those spaces are proposed to be tandem or stacked parking. Section 165-51F1E requires that the Planning Commission has to find that there is no adverse impact on the proposed use or the circulation. The applicant has proposed to stencil the parking spaces as employee or customer, and they've will provide signage related to the allocated spaces along with a chain barrier for employee parking to mitigate some of those impacts. So they're doing several things in order to keep people understanding that that first row is for employees only. Building footprint is proposed to be 7 feet off of North Bond, which was an adjustment from the first go-around, and then 10 feet from the adjacent property to the north, which is 108 North Bond. The applicants provided a large version of the existing and proposed parking spaces, and Alice Ann Street has 5 metered spaces and 2 non-metered spaces. The proposal would be to reduce that by 1 non-metered space. So they would relocate the existing meters, and then we would end up as the final layout losing 1 non-meter space. However, that relocation is required because several of those spaces are not up to code. They're not long enough, and so that by adjusting that and including the access to the site, they are they're losing a non-metered space, which you guys can approve. Let's see. All of this, the relocation of the meters, the striping of the new spaces, and any repaving is the responsibility of the applicant under the supervision of the DPW. Concrete walkway on the north side of the proposed building will remain. That is done in conjunction with the adjacent property owner in order to share that access. The access to the refuse recycling has been removed, and the storm drain has been realigned so it doesn't, so it has minimal impact to the existing street trees along Bond. The elevations and renderings have been provided to the town architectural consultant, and his comments were sent under a separate cover, but you've been given a copy of them by email, and you should have them in front of you. I don't think that they found any issue with the revised elevations. Outdoor dining. For the restaurant use, the exterior dining capacity cannot exceed 27 seats. They have shown a layout graphically of tables and chairs on the site plan, which is what we kind of really needed to show that everything fits in there. 2 shade trees have been relocated to Alice Ann Street, which is fine with the staff. A fee in lieu is proposed in the amount of $3,600 to satisfy the mitigation of the existing trees that were removed, and there's really no place to put them on site, and you can't double count street trees and other required trees. So, there is one additional recommendation, or actually an elaboration of a recommendation under site plan number 3. Approval of the 16 stacked spaces as shown in the revised site plan based upon pavement stenciling, signage, and chain barrier as indicated on the site plan. So you're approving that, but you're conditioning that approval on those items that they've predicated on their site plan. So I kind of expanded that a little bit. That's all I've got.
Okay. Yes, please.
Kate Pierce with Frederick Ward Associates, 5 South Main Street. As Kevin just outlined, we have addressed all of the comments that came from our last planning commission meeting, specifically adding the chain between the customer and the employee parking spaces. We adjusted the building location, shifting it down 10 feet from 108 North Bond Street, and then the 7 feet from the property line back. We adjusted the sidewalk per the town's request to connect Alice Ann. And as Kevin outlined, we are requesting that sorry, I always turn it away from me. We're requesting to relocate and bring the 5 metered spaces up to code compliant for spacing and sizing, and then there'll be 1 additional non-metered space. I also wanted to point out, at our last meeting, there was some concern about the buffering between the church and the parking lot. And we changed the species of the shrub to be something that grows taller, between 8 and 10 feet tall, so that there's more of an adequate buffer between the church and the parking lot to screen the parking lot.
We've had no feedback from the church about this issue at all, so, well, good, it's a good thing to do, just.
Like Kevin said, we're also stenciling customer and employee on the parking spaces. There will be poles and a chain separating them, and there will also be signage indicating where customers should park and where the employees should park. And I know that there was some concern about the odor control for the nail salon, and the exhaust system for the nail salon will be provided with a source capture system capable of existing not less than 50 CFMs per station per the 2021 mechanical code. So it will meet code requirement. And I think that's everything that we changed on the plan. And I'll
Just have
show
one
you the
question.
new elevations.
The walkway that's in between 108 and 102, that's going to remain concrete? Because at one time they talked about making it brick and.
So that's still in conversation between both owners on the material. I know that 108 would prefer brick, but at this point it hasn't been, a final decision hasn't been made.
And
But-
we don't require that at
Well,
all.
we're not requiring it, I'm just trying to keep us out of any issues regarding sort of easements that they're
Right.
still, they're gonna work all that, okay?
I had one item that I just want to get clarity on, I think more so than anything. And I should have said something at the last meeting. I had it in my notes and did not bring it up, but it's the grease trap. It's in the front corner of the building, outside your outside eating area. It's near the front near Bond Street and over near Alice Ann Street. My concern with grease traps is maintenance of them. They gotta be inspected, they gotta be kept maintained, cleaned out. I don't see where a truck could safely get to it from Alice Ann or Bond Street.
I'm gonna invite Tom Miner with Frederick Ward up to address the grease trap situation.
Sure, so, the grease.
Name and
Sorry,
address.
Tom Miner, Frederick Ward, 5 South Main. So the grease trap, where it's located, it'll definitely be monitored, obviously, because it's near where people are gonna be sitting, so they're gonna make sure it's maintained. But you can park, a pump truck, maintenance truck in the parking area, and you can run a hose to suck it out when needed. Similar to any septic system distance.
Usually not a good thing next to a dining area. but-
So, I've done, with grease traps, the old ones, a lot of times will have kind of smell to it, but you can get ones that are sealed, so that they're not gonna, nice rubber gasket and stuff. A lot of times the reason they stink is because they're not well maintained. So, that's kind of at least been my experience when it comes to the grease trap aspects of things, for heavy loadings. A restaurant shouldn't have that heavy of a loading, quite frankly, with their grease creation, but it's soups, so it's not as much of it. It's not going to be frying, that kind of stuff, so.
It was just more of a clarity. but
The
I know it's a
reason we
bad
have it
spot.
there and not kind of in kind of some of the more typical areas is really the way the grades fall on the site, and then the stormwater management facility, where we kind of have to have it placed in the back there. We don't, the other utilities are in the way, so we kind of have it placed where the best, kind of the only place we can kind of put it, so.
If you like, you can require it to be a sealed system.
Where it's located, that would be a great idea.
Or you can require it to be relocated.
I would like to see it modified.
Okay, we can add more details to ensure that it's, more of a sealed system, to where it's not gonna, some type of, Kevin, how would you like that to be kind of tabled as far as I don't have grease traps memorized as far as what type of systems.
And I
are-
apologize, I should have brought
No,
this
no,
up
it's fine.
last meeting.
To make sure
I
that
saw it
we're
in the notes here.
complying with with what you guys are concerned with, and equally, we can just say it's a sealed system, or has good, gasketed system? Is that?
Well, I think one of the things we could do, typically grease traps are the responsibility of the health department to monitor.
Yeah.
I would say that we could condition the approval based upon a review and approval by the health department, because they're gonna have to do that
Yeah,
anyway.
they gotta prove it anyway.
Yeah.
so.
They're already included in the site plan proposed motion.
Right.
so.
It's a good point, though. Appreciate it.
Could you explain to me, I don't understand the fence or the chain. How does that work? Is there one per slot? So I'm an employee and I drive up. How does that work?
So I probably wouldn't have one between every single location, but we got 8 spots. I would probably place one. We could put a pole or something like that. You don't want one at every spot so people can back out. But you're gonna have probably 3 nail salon employees, and then you're gonna have 4 to 5 restaurant employees. We probably would place a chain point between that, because that's when you're gonna have the in and out on that. The main point of the chain is really to ensure that patrons aren't going into the deeper spots and getting themselves stuck, when realistically, the whole point of the deeper spots, or those secondary spots, are for employees that come in before everything starts and leave after everything's done. So, we would stretch it across there.
So they physically drive in and move that chain to get into their spot?
Yep.
Is that how it functions?
Yeah, it's mostly to allow patrons to let the patrons know that they can park in the spot behind the employee, that they're not going to be reluctant to do so, and then they go out and park on Alice Ann and muck up all the spaces along there. So if they know there's a chain there, then I think it would be kind of communicate that, yeah, these cars aren't moving anytime soon. I still think it's going to be a problem,
Yeah.
but, it's their problem, not really the town's.
Okay. All right.
I just wanted to comment favorably. Did you guys get a copy of
Oh, yeah.
Mr. Edmead's report?
We
And
sure did.
yeah, these processes, I felt bad for the applicants having to come in here now the third time. Thankfully, they didn't
Mhm.
personally have to come tonight, but you ended up with a better plan than you started with. And I'm always happy when I see him giving it a positive review.
And it's very attractive.
Yep.
I think it looks
think
really
so.
nice.
Yep.
And I was
Okay.
very impressed on the citizens that came in and spoke on their behalf. One of them was even a competitor. I thought that was admirable. That's pretty cool, but
Okay.
Ready?
Shall we move forward? Ready? Okay.
I move that the Planning Commission find that the application is consistent with the 2022 comprehensive plan as outlined in Town Code 165-19.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'll keep going.
Okay.
Site plan, yeah, that's the addition there. I move that we approve the site plan condition on the following. One, prior to building permit application, submission of a final site plan for signature incorporating comments from this staff report and comments from Harford County Health Department, Harford County Soil Conservation, Bel Air Public Works, Bel Air Architectural Consultant, we've got Maryland Department of Transportation. Number two, coordination with Public Works Department regarding site access, on-street parking, and meter locations on Alice Ann Street shall be indicated on the final site plan. And three, approval of 16 stacked spaces as shown on the revised site plan based upon pavement, stenciling, signage, and chain barrier as indicated on the site plan.
Is there a second?
Second. Madam Chair,
Yeah.
where do we put in for them where we approve the non-meter? Is that the site?
By approving the site plan, you're approving the non-metered.
Okay, I just didn't know whether we had this, have that.
Okay. Jimmy?
aye.
Phil?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Peter? Chair votes aye as well. Okay. Landscape plan.
Madam Chair, at a minimum, we would propose, or, I'll spit it out here. Would we approve the landscape plan conditioned on the following: that prior to the building permit issuance, submission, and approval of the final landscape plan, incorporating comments from the staff report, a provision for fee in lieu in the amount of $3,600 for woodland areas, and unique vegetation mitigation must be provided prior to the building permit issuance.
So second?
Second.
Okay, Phil?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Peter?
Aye.
Chair votes aye as well.
Madam Chair, I would also submit that we approve the special development for the outdoor dining bar service use. It's based upon the following finding of fact that the applicant has adequately demonstrated that the proposed dining area meets the following performance standards as provided in section 165-53 .I, paren 2, paren lowercase I. Amplified music or public address are not permitted between 9 p.m. and 9 a.m. Live entertainment and recreational games are not permitted between 9 PM and 9 AM. Outdoor dining and bar must adhere to the requirements of Chapter 345 of the Town Code. The exterior area is limited to 75% of the capacity of the principal permitted use. Any temporary enclosure must meet the provisions of Section 165-71.c, and no physical bar for the service of alcohol is proposed under this application. Alcohol consumption or service must be approved by the Harford County Liquor Board.
Second.
Jimmy?
Aye.
Okay, Bill?
Aye.
Don?
Aye.
Peter? Chair votes aye as well. Yahoo!
It's done.
Made it. Hey, it
Thank
didn't take
you.
as many meetings as Taco Bell took, so. And now they're
We're
coming
still
back
waiting.
and starting over again.
Hopefully, not that many this go around. Thank you guys very much. Have a
Thank
great
you.
holiday.
Thank you. So, are we going to go any further this evening?
I have 5 minutes, but you don't have your computer here, so it may be a moot point. I wanted to talk about McPhail Road's playground, and I took some pictures of it over off of, by Homestead Village,
Homestead Park.
Homestead Park, right?
Uh-huh.
And we only have one signage basically coming from Maryland Golf and Country Club to 924 that shows a park.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's other limited sight distance coming from 924 to Maryland Golf and Country Club with the rise and then coming down. And people are going a lot faster there now than they have in the past. So I can come to the board of commissioners and show it more. Because I know it doesn't happen here, but we
You-
just need to do something over there.
You're concerned about the sight distance from the,
I'm concerned about the sight distance. Well, first off, I'd like to get a sign on the side of the road heading from 924 to Maryland Golf and Country Club, showing that there's a park there, or a playground.
the sign should be double-sided.
There's only one sign. The one sign is further down here, the park's here. I'd like to see a sign up on the same side as the park.
Okay. Yeah,
There's a sign.
there's a sign at the entrance that's double-sided that can be seen from both
I
directions.
don't
You're
remember
not, you're
seeing-
saying that that's not the case?
I don't remember seeing the back side of that. It's
Okay.
double-sided. And then, candidly, I wouldn't mind seeing some sort of, like we have with the bike paths, like, you know, when you show people riding bikes in the road, something white that says, slow down, you know, children at play or something.
In the road?
In the road itself. Because I can tell you from being a Homestead resident for the past 41 years, you know, the amount of traffic has increased, the speed has increased, and,
I
Probably
can-
got more people using the park because of pickleball.
yeah,
So that-
Yes, it's definitely getting more use.
it's getting a lot of use.
And with the playground, which has just opened a few weeks ago.
And it's a
it'll
nice
probably get more.
playground. I've been over there like 6 times already,
Yeah.
so, with the grandkids.
So, one of the things to,
That's it. I took the other.
You weren't
the old-
playing on it.
The old days, I took my kids over there, you know, threw them in a
I
wagon
thought
and.
maybe it was just you. huh?
No, not me, no.
the, one thing to remember is that McPhail Road is a county road.
I understand.
So we have,
Well,
we can certainly
let's put it-
suggest things to them.
Well, isn't our half like the center of the road, or is it all county?
It's the entire thing is county. So now, one of the things that,
I mean,
we had a person,
I have no problem going to the county and saying, hey,
well, we had a person request a crosswalk, and they put one in at Jackson Boulevard.
yeah, I know that.
So that's something new. And so if there was another desire to, I do understand. That's one of the reasons why we provided off-site parking was
I mean,
because
it would be nice to
that-
get a crosswalk there, and I've looked to see where you could do one, and I don't think somebody's driveway, at the end of their driveway, they want to see a huge crosswalk, but I mean, that would be nice there.
well, and yeah, I would be reluctant to put a crosswalk mid-block,
Yeah.
just because cars do go so fast, and
Yeah.
then putting a crosswalk in, people think, oh, well, they're going to stop. And I'm not sure that happens. But I think there's also other ways to slow down traffic. Especially on that road, people do go super fast.
Yeah.
So I would, if you'd like, the town can make a request to the county and see what they say.
I would appreciate it.
Okay?
What about the crosswalk? There's the one at the light at Office Street, and then right down from it is the crosswalk. It has the sign, but they don't have, it's not marked. And remember someone was killed there?
Yep.
And
Yep.
just the other day, two of us, our lanes were closed, and the guy on the left was speeding like crazy, only because I threw on the horn. The fellow that was walking across literally would have been killed. And when are they going, and, wasn't that, I thought there was a study for the, biking routes
There-
and,
There was a study under Safe Streets for All. We did a study that was federally funded about 1.5 years ago under Safe Streets for All, that was one of the locations that was studied. And it involved some pretty major adjustments to Bond Street.
yeah.
One of the things is that Bond Street's 3 lanes and doesn't need to be 3 lanes. Its capacity is not altered if it goes down to 2. But I think that's a lot of people would look at that and say, are you kidding me? That can't happen. Because if you look at it, it's 1 lane going south. Then it passes by, the gas station there. Yeah. And then that becomes 2 lanes, and then it becomes 3 lanes down by Lee Street. So how do you know? That doesn't make sense to me. So, but they did offer up some revisions. So I would suggest you may want to go online and take a look at it. One of the things that we were planning to do is to apply for some grants associated with that. But the new administration has basically cut off a lot of money to anything to do with Safe Streets for All. So,
The bicycle, same thing?
well, at least federally, yeah. There's actually a nice opportunity right now through the state to apply for some grants, and that's one of the things we're looking into.
It's such a benefit to the town and the community.
I think the best, and Lois, I remember that case where the woman was killed. She lived right over in the sewing factory apartments, and I knew her. But that's one really bad thing, and then, but just routinely, if anybody's crossing there at Cortlandt Street, cars coming up Thomas and turning right, they don't even look over there. They look back to their left to make sure it's okay for them to go. They don't see pedestrians in that at all. To me, the best solution is to just find a way to have that just not be a pedestrian crossing at all. It's unsafe. Let them go up to the light,
Yeah.
up to Office Street, get the light.
Right. But one of the things to know is that the light at Office Street actually regulates the traffic that would be, that someone crossing at Cortlandt would experience. You just have to wait for that light to,
For Bond, but
To
not for Thomas.
right, not for Thomas,
The
correct.
worst- The worst routine is the right turns from
Yeah.
Thomas Street onto Bond. People they're looking to their left to make sure they can go, and they're not thinking about a pedestrian on the right.
Right.
And it's pretty tight there. I mean, you'd have to be pretty agile to not get hit.
Right, and I think that was one of the reasons why the crosswalk was put down by Cortlandt rather than at Thomas, because of that very thing. If you look at Lee Street at Maine, that same situation exists.
there too.
Yes.
That's bad there, 'cause
It's
people
bad.
come flying down the hill, and
So one of the things I wanted to point out to you guys is, having been a victim twice of being hit in that area, I was hit at the crosswalk you're talking about at Thomas Street, and then I was hit by another car, like tapped. It was enough to, the one in the middle of the street knocked me over. The other one, I dented the guy's hood because I was walking, and he bumped me, and he was doing exactly what you described. Look left, and usually I don't walk in front of the car unless we make eye contact. And I banged it down, and that's the only thing that made him stop, was I dented his car. we all said, because we use the Thomas Bond for our employees, we have no on-site parking at 30 Office Street. If they just moved, we even told the state guy this before, if you just move the crosswalk down where the entrance is to Thomas Bond on Bond Street side, and then have it cross where Casa is at Cortland.
So the other side of Cortland.
Correct,
South side of
because
Cortland.
also when they first put that in there, you could access the circuit court from either Cortland or Office. Now you can't. You can only access the courthouse, the circuit court from Cortland. So everybody's got to go that way. So no one is going to go down the street anymore and up Office Street, only to turn around and go right around.
Yep.
So, and everybody uses that parking lot, Thomas and Bond. So, yeah, when you said that, I'm like, oh my God, I remember getting hit by a car.
At least you cut out the middleman.
Cut out the
Yeah,
middleman?
you do.
Oh, yeah. Luckily, I wasn't hurt, for sure, so. But yeah, it's, we call it the triangle of death in that area.
Yeah,
We
that
have
was
to be
another,
very careful.
that was one that was studied. We had 9 intersections studied, and only one of them has had any work done to it, which was Gordon and Main and
Flat Eye
Bond.
Corner,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that, we're talking to State Highway about getting some work done to that. So that was actually a very successful effort. We can take those speed cushions, put them in a couple of places.
Or we
That
could-
really made people happy.
We could use the paving strategy now being employed in Howard Park where nobody can drive
I was
anywhere
gonna say,
at any point.
Yeah, whatever that paving
You-
strategy
you
is,
can't
right?
get
You
anywhere.
can't go anywhere.
I-
I tried
And where
to
you
do
can, you
something
can't
small
turn.
today. It was like-
I have to admit that I feel sorry for the contractor, because the contractor, they've had 2 breaks of the water lines, and which has stopped them cold from completing their job. Plus, they had about 3 weeks where it rained almost every day. So,
Look at Route 1, that's.
They've,
that hadn't
they've
gotten
got
done
every
yet.
street. You have to
Yeah.
strategize,
No,
like,
it was.
how do I get to the town hall today?
we've actually delayed, we had a study that was scheduled for Howard Park to study the traffic. But it was supposed to happen in June. We couldn't do it because the work wasn't finished. And then when school let out, it wouldn't be accurate, so it's gonna have to be September, October.
I would definitely wait until Thomas Street, if it ever gets done, that it is done, and because even aside from this paving that is now going on so routinely over there, aside from that, traffic patterns have changed because of what we're doing on Thomas Street.
Right.
People are avoiding Thomas Street now.
Yeah.
Paving
And they may go back to it after it's all paved, but it may not, which is a good thing. So, although I don't know whether it's gonna help or hurt the other streets. Well, and that's what we're gonna be hoping to get comments from a traffic consultant to tell us what to do. So, yes.
On a related subject, Thomas Street. What a nightmare. There was no traffic control by the contractor at all today. It was awful. It was,
Yeah.
bus went up the street. I even tried to stop the bus from going up the street to try to make a detour. It was disastrous. But you cannot see the stop sign. You can't see hardly any of the signs because they put all those trees up. First, they put the trees over on the wrong side. They had them in people's yards and had to take them back out and put them over by the sidewalk. They've replaced some of the sidewalks 3 times now, but you cannot see the stop sign coming up Thomas Street from Kelly. My neighbor told me, I went and took a picture of it.
Which one? And one at Reed
The
or
one right at Thomas and Atwood.
Atwood?
You
Okay.
cannot, and you're coming up from Kelly, you do not see that stop sign. They got it all the way in, on the inside of the grass it needs to be moved out.
All right.
Plus, the trees are blocking the speed limit sign, all the signs they got through there, all the trees are blocking them. You're
Well,
not
the-
gonna see them soon. So, they might have to take the one tree out by the stop sign.
Okay.
It's pretty, I got a picture of it, you wanna see it, but. And that curb that you said they were probably gonna take out is still there at Archer. But I think your plow trucks in the town will take that out this winter.
With the, you
You can see
know
it's been
that
hit
the-
several times.
huh?
It's been hit several times.
Yeah,
The
it'll
You can
curb?
see the-
And it'll get
Oh,
hit
yeah,
by
the
every
curb, it
snowplow.
sticks out.
It juts out into
You
the
gotta
street.
go make a
Right.
wide turn to turn onto Archer, so you go right into incoming traffic if you're making a turn there. It's not good.
This is coming from Thomas going
Thomas
towards
From
Bond?
Atwood coming up, that curb that turns into Archer, right on the corner.
So you're taking a right on Archer
Yes,
and from Thomas?
yes.
Okay.
Not- it- Like I said, you're gonna have some accidents there. And you can see people already hit the curb. All the neighbors are complaining to me about it, like, I thought, I ain't got nothing to do with it, call the town, call DPW.
Yeah,
Steve's
call
just
Steve.
glad he doesn't live in Howard Park anymore.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you'd be getting them.
All right, anything else? Okay.
Meeting adjourned?
Happy Independence Day.
So moved. Thank you.
There was no motion or anything, but we'll just pretend there was.
It happened.